how many credit cards do you have? Show us.
Very honestly, I just have like 2 cards.
I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh my god.
This is horrible.
It's crazy the interest that gets charged if you're just paying the minimum amount due.
The benefits that you get are sometimes amazing.
And I think it makes sense to do that research initially and then get the right credit card which is a good fit for you.
You're not using this card, so let's cancel it. I said, Mama,
Big
not.
mistake. Yeah.
Let's not. If you get into the debt trap, how do you get out?
Now I think that is a really hard one to answer. Hi everyone, I'm Niyati
And I'm Sayali.
and welcome to the Finance Happy Hour with FinCocktail.
Today we're going to talk about something very interesting, my personal favorite, credit cards. So I thought let's start with a little game.
Okay.
We very rarely give out very personal information, but since this is a no holds barred podcast, we are going to tell you how many credit cards do we have.
Sure.
Okay. Niyati, how many credit cards do you have? Show us.
Okay. Very honestly, I just have like 2 cards. I am very conservative when it comes to getting multiple credit cards. So I have only 2.
Okay, now this is going to make me look very bad, but I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh my god.
This is horrible.
That's a lot of credit cards.
That is a lot of credit cards. Yeah, we can play Uno with it. We can.
So tell me one thing. Why do you have these many credit cards? And do you think is it right to have these many credit cards? Is it a boon or a bane?
Okay. So I personally like having credit cards because I think credit cards, if used well, can give you a lot of benefits. I have so many credit cards because let's be honest, 3 of them are add-ons. But 3 of them are mine. But out of all 6, I personally use only 1 on a regular basis.
Okay.
Like, your Amazon Pay, there is something that is fed and you just type in your CVV and
Correct.
it goes. My Amazon, my Zomato, my Swiggy, all of that is just linked to 1 credit card.
Okay.
So I have to be very clever about it and I have to be very mindful about it. You can very easily be like, acha, iska limit
Swayed.
yeah, and iska limit baki hai, so let's just put it on another credit card. But I've been good about it.
Yeah.
So I think if used wisely, I guess, credit cards can be a really big boon.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually like that as well. I use only 1 card. I have 2, but I use only 1.
Do mein se also you use only
one. Do mein se, because I think it stresses me out. Like just the fact that I have to keep a track of so many different credit card billing cycles and then make sure that I'm paying the entire amount due and not just the minimum payment due. Now that's a mistake. That's a rookie mistake that most people end up making, which I think needs to be highlighted right at the beginning.
Outset.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have literally jumped right into the deep end.
Yeah.
This is a question that we get asked all the time. Why should somebody not just make the minimum amount due payment? Why should they pay the entire amount every month?
Yeah, because it's crazy the interest that gets charged if you're just paying the minimum amount due. So on the balance, so let's say you've spent 1 lakh on your credit card this month, and the minimum amount due is 10,000. So you're like, okay, bas 10,000 hi to bharna hai, bhar lete hain. You pay the minimum amount due, and then on that balance 90,000, you're charged an interest rate upwards of 30%.
Yeah.
And that is crazy to be paying 30% plus interest just for something that you spent impulsively.
Correct.
I don't think it makes sense.
I completely agree. And I think that is subtext, right? Whenever you get your credit card bill, the biggest highlighted point is your minimum amount due is only 10,000.
Yeah.
Right? And subtext, which most people don't know about, is that on the entire balance, you're going to be charged a certain percent.
Correct.
And that's how the credit card companies make money. Okay. And that interest rate is higher than any, if you go out into the market and try to get a loan, for example, It's higher than any loan you can
Yeah,
actually
like
acquire.
personal loans, which are sort of high in
Correct.
interest,
Mhm.
where the interest that you have to pay for a personal loan is pretty high. Those are also way better off
Yeah.
as compared to credit card interest,
Correct.
which is through the roof.
Correct. Honestly, somebody had asked me that is it better to get a personal loan to pay off my credit card bill? I will say yes. Because your personal loan actually may just charge you anywhere between 12-15% now.
Sure.
Versus a 30-40% interest rate. It mathematically makes sense to just take on that loan and pay this off.
Yeah, and I think this is just to highlight, this is if you're at the deep end of, you know, really not having managed your credit card payments well, and you're like literally in credit card debt or something, that's when you should be doing this. But essentially, I feel like the main thing to keep in mind is to focus on the entire amount due and not the minimum amount due.
Correct. Like, this is not blanket advice, guys. Please don't go taking out personal loans every month to
pay off your credit card debt. But I think just focus on making that entire amount due
every single month.
Payment every single month. You know, don't let it build up.
Correct. I agree. Okay, now that we've focused on the scary part of it, let's talk about some positive things. Why do people love credit cards? I think why I love them. I recently got a new credit card that gave me this amazing club membership of a particular 5-star, and I get like 30% off on all meals over there. I get like 1-2 nights ka stay free in in I think it's 2 nights ka stay free in 6 months, and then one more upgrade if I ever go there. Yeah, and this is just in 1 year. If I renew it again next year, again I'll get the same benefits.
Right.
So I think it's the benefits that you get in or like the rewards, what they call it, are sometimes amazing.
They're crazy, and it really depends on what sort of rewards you're looking for.
Correct.
Because I know that my husband has a credit card where you get like movie tickets free. So if you book one movie ticket, you get another one free.
Hey, I want that.
So it's like 1+1 on a certain number of tickets every month. So that's something which is pretty crazy.
That's great considering movie tickets are getting so expensive.
Exactly.
Nowadays, like you watch any 3D movie,
it's straight $600-700 gone. You don't even know.
I know.
And because we like traveling so much, we've sort of gotten credit cards that allow us to utilize the points to buy tickets.
Correct.
So, I think it's important to figure out what you want to eventually use your credit card for the most, and then apply for a card accordingly. Because there are so many options out there. You know, I know that there are credit cards that give you great sort of cashbacks on groceries and stuff.
Yes, a lot of them.
You know, so if your major monthly spending is on groceries, it makes sense to get one of those.
100%.
You know, like if you love traveling like me, then it makes sense to get a credit card which focuses on giving you points that can be used for flights.
Correct. 100%.
Or they give you like they give you lounge access at the airport.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So those are
Makes
pretty
it so comfy.
Yeah, those are pretty great as well.
I know the credit card that I would choose is a fuel one, because the amount I travel in this city is crazy. For every rupee I spend on fuel, and it's just getting more and more expensive. But I think that's a great way to start, right? So if you're considering getting a credit card, look at all the options. There are oh, by the way, this is I haven't told a lot of people about this, but I have a Zomato credit card now.
Oh wow!
Because the amount of time, the amount of food
meals
I order
off of Zomato.
Yeah, and the cashbacks are insane. It's like, I think 1-2 meals in a month will be free. Yeah. And because of course, we host a lot at our home, so we end up ordering a lot. So I think that it, again, based on your usage, which card would you take, right? There's a Zomato card, now there's an Amazon Pay card, there's I don't know, like you said, grocery cards, there are fuel cards, travel cards.
Yeah. I mean, lots of different credit card companies issue these cards based on your usage.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense to do that research initially and then get the right credit card which is a good fit for you.
Correct. Agreed. So I think when you're beginning to consider a credit card, first should be understand your options. Lots are there out there for you. Yeah. So
And I think it's important also to consider the annual fee that they charge.
yes,
That's something that, you know, a lot of people don't necessarily focus on, but sometimes these fees tend to be really, really high.
yeah.
So then you have to sort of weigh
Mm-hmm.
how
The
much
benefit.
you're using the card
Correct.
versus paying the fee, and then is it really worth paying this fee if
Correct.
you're not really using the card as much? You know?
Like a catch-22 situation, right? Is it worth paying the annual fee? But also, what I have seen is that a lot of times these credit card companies waive off this annual fee if your usage is up to whatever their mark is.
Correct.
Like if you spend a certain amount on
Correct.
that credit card for a certain, maybe a quarter or 6 months or a year, then they waive off the annual fee.
Sure.
But that spending is quite high. So
Correct.
I think, again, you have to balance whether you are able to make the payment every single month
Sure.
versus the annual fee.
Correct.
But I don't want you to, like, you know, swipe away just like, you know, building up your credit card bill and then, you know, just to like waive off some 10,000 rupees. I don't want you to spend a lakh. It's one of those
that
things.
makes sense. Absolutely. So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the right sort of amount to swipe on your credit card is based on your limit?
Okay.
So let's say you have a monthly limit of 1 lakh rupees. How much should I really be swiping on my credit card?
Okay. So we've heard a lot of people talk about this. It's this term called credit card utilization, which calculates the percentage of your, basically it's how much you use of your credit limit.
Sure.
If now I have a card which is which has a limit of 1 lakh and I spend 10,000 on it, that's 10%
Sure.
of my utilization. A lot of people say that you should keep your credit card utilization under 30%.
Okay.
Realistically, I don't think that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Even I use about like 40 to 50% of my credit card limit. But I'm very good. Even if I spend like, you know, 40 or 50% of my limit, I make my payments every single month and my credit card company is very happy with me.
Sure.
They waive off things for me. They give me extra rewards. But I think a decent amount is anywhere between 30 to 50%.
Sure.
As long as you're able to service that credit card, as long as you're able to pay off that money every single month, and yes, we're saying this repetitively again and again because that is the most important thing about credit cards. So as long as you're able to service it, I think 30 to 50%
is a good sort of utilization ratio to maintain.
Yes, because I don't think realistically under 30% is possible.
I know, yeah. I mean, if you're making a lot of your payments through the credit card, you know, it becomes harder to sort of stick to that 30% mark.
Yeah, especially if you're like, you know, if you're young, you're just starting out, you only have 1 or 2 credit cards with 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees ka limit. You don't have a big limit. So how are you going to keep the utilization ratio so low?
Correct.
The moment you like, you know, go ahead in your career, couple of years down the line, you may have more credit cards, you may have a larger limit. Then automatically, you know that 30% is possible.
Correct.
But early on, I think as long as you keep it between this range, you'll be fine.
Sure. Makes sense.
On that note, I was just talking to my mom. Out of my 6, she said, you know, you're not using this card. So let's cancel it. I said, Mama, let's
Big
not.
mistake. Yeah.
Let's not. So I think we again get asked this question a lot.
Yeah.
Should I cancel my credit card?
So I think that honestly, credit cards should not be cancelled because they help you build that credit score, right?
Yes.
In life, the main sort of reason why people do get credit cards and continue to make those timely payments is because they want to build a credit history. Why do they care about this credit history? Essentially, a credit history, a good credit history enables you to get loans in the future. You know, you become more eligible, you know, to get loans at a better rate.
Correct.
And even generally, you know, if they see that track record that you maintained of making timely payments on your credit card bills, they know that you're someone who will make those payments on your loans as well.
Yeah, bharose wala aadmi.
Correct. So building a good credit history is really, really important. And to build a good credit history, you need to have that card active and not cancelled.
Correct.
So even if you don't end up using your credit card, I think that you should never go ahead and cancel it.
Yeah.
Because it keeps your history active.
Correct. Also, I think it helps you increase that utilization ratio also. Sorry, decrease it, right? Because if you have an active card, you have that limit.
Correct.
And you're not using it.
Correct.
So your credit card utilization
automatically decreases.
Exactly. And it will automatically increase if you cancel that card and suddenly that limit is gone.
Absolutely. I agree.
So even I agree. No cancelling credit card, guys.
Yeah.
No cancelling them.
Yeah, it's okay if you don't use it. You just leave it as it is. It's fine.
Just leave it as it is. And on that note, credit scores, right? This is why you have credit cards. This is why everybody should have a credit card. In my opinion, everybody should have a credit card because it helps you build your credit score. But it's a catch-22 situation. Just like, you need experience to get a good job. And you need a job to get experience. So it's the same way, right? You need a good credit score to get a good credit card and loans, and you need a credit card to build that credit score.
Absolutely.
So I think building your credit score has to start with the credit card. It can be the most
basic level.
Yes, most basic level.
I remember, I'll actually tell you, my first credit card I got when I was about 23 or 22 maybe, and that was when I got my first job. And usually, you open a new bank account, salary account, they give you a debit card, and that's when I applied for my very first credit card, which was not an add-on to my mom or my dad's card. So
success.
Yeah, and that was like the most basic category. I had a limit of 30,000.
Amazing.
That was my, credit card limit every month.
You were only capable of paying off that much according to the company.
Yeah, because they didn't trust me to make those payments more than that number. But so I think even if you get the most basic card, with a lower credit limit, that's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
It really doesn't matter. You can always, once you start making those payments in a timely fashion, the credit card limit automatically can get increased.
Correct.
The credit card company will reach out to you. They will tell you that, okay, now you're eligible for a larger limit.
Correct.
And then you can increase that limit from 30 to 60 to 1 lakh or whatever. So they see that transition happening in your payments, and they do increase those limits.
Exactly.
So I think that it's important to just get a basic credit card initially in your career as soon as you start earning a salary. And then you can obviously scale that up.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? As you grow in your career, your credit card will also grow with you. It's one of those things. And I agree, you have to get, even if you don't get the best rewards from it, even if you don't have the top level card, it's fine. The top level cards are also sometimes very expensive to maintain.
Yeah, they are really expensive. You do require a certain bank balance to have. You do require a certain IT return also.
Yes.
You should have filed for a certain
for a certain number
amount
of years.
A certain number of years at a certain amount every year to be eligible for those cards. So it's a lot of people consider it a status symbol.
Yeah.
I have this
card
Amex and this fancy card. But that's okay. You can build your way up. It's not worth sort of paying the annual fees which are so high.
Correct.
Maintaining that bank balance. In your initial years, you're not able to do that. There are a lot of expenses that you may have.
Correct.
There are a lot of EMIs that you may probably take on. And just having that money lie idle in your bank account may not be possible. Yeah. But that's okay. It's okay. You can start small and then build it up.
Correct. I agree completely. On that note, on the note of, getting credit cards which are too big to maintain, etc., we got a question saying that if you get into the credit card trap, the debt trap, how do you get out of it?
Now, I think that is a really, really hard one to answer because the only way to get out of any kind of a debt trap is to first cut back on all unnecessary expenses, like all those discretionary expenses, like you're ordering from Zomato or going out for those movies or like impulsively buying something online.
Yeah.
It's, these little expenses add up in a very, very big way,
So
and you
quickly.
never know when they add up, because through the month, you're like, oh, I just spent 1,000 rupees on this one meal. And then 10 days later, you're like, oh, I just spent like 3,000 rupees on these new shoes. And at the end of the month, if you actually calculate this 1,000 and 3,000 and 2,000, it all adds up to a pretty large number. So cutting back on your discretionary expenses through your credit card is number one. The other way to sort of do this is to convert your credit card debt into EMI payments. Okay, now what that essentially means is that you're making that debt amount and a monthly sort of payment that you're paying towards the debt. So if you owe the credit card company 10 lakh rupees and you start paying an EMI of 50,000, in a few months you would have achieved that entire payment.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
So it's important that you keep this in mind as well, because this is an option that's available to you to sort of get out of this debt trap.
Yes. Every single credit card company gives you an option to convert your balance into EMI payments every month. It doesn't matter if you're in a huge pile of debt or it's just 1 month where you can't service your credit card payment.
Correct.
But now why we're saying this is because like we've said before, if you just make the minimum amount due, you're going to be charged 30 or even 40% on the balance that is due. If you convert it into an EMI, they'll charge you 15-20%.
Correct.
Yes, 15-20% seems very large, but compared to 30-40, it's manageable.
Sure. Yeah.
So I completely agree with your point of number one, cutting back, and number two, converting them into EMIs. And I think I'd like to just add one more thing. It's like taking care of your health, right? For example, if you have very high blood sugar, or if you, God forbid, had a heart issue, what do you have to do? You have to cut down on your cholesterol. You have to take care of your sugar intake,
what you're eating, exercising, everything.
It's hard. It's going to take time. It's the same thing with your credit card debt. That if you are in a huge amount of credit card debt, that is like the worst financial health possible. You've reached that level of going to the doctor and getting your finances in order. So I think now's the time. You have to tell yourself, keep enough, no outside food, no extra spending. Taking care of your financial health is priority number one.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say that, you have to cut back on your lifestyle. It's very easy to say, but it's difficult to do.
It is.
But unfortunately, there is no easy way.
Yeah, if you're in that situation, I don't see another way to sort of get out.
There is no easy way out.
It might mean compromising on your lifestyle for a few months.
It will mean compromising on your lifestyle.
It will mean compromising on your lifestyle for a few months, but I think it's something that you got to do. There is no easier way.
Otherwise, it'll just keep getting worse and worse. And if you're just waiting for some jackpot to sort of, bail you out, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't. Life isn't that easy.
How we wish. How we wish. So, so I think yay for credit cards, but just yay for managing them well.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. That's all we have to say today on credit cards. Why don't you guys share this podcast with your friends who like to get credit cards, who are considering them. And don't forget to DM us on Instagram @FinCocktail about what else we should cover.